So, as you can tell by the title of this live stream, we're going to be talking about K00nye and K00nye. We talked about them last night as well. Now we're going to deal with the double down of the coon. It is a very interesting phenomenon to watch. We're going to go through I guess what we considered a video on the Owens show. Of course, she has a show. We're going to be going through a video of her speaking about her, why she wore the White Lives Matter shirt, what her and Kanye, what their ideas are as to why they did it. We'll get into the explanation. And I want you to keep in the back of your mind at all times, a broken coon is right 2 times a day. Yes, a broken coon is right 2 times a day. Keep that in your mind as we go through this. I'm going to give people time to get in here. Y'all come on in here, hit that like button for me. I'm going to give people time to get in here and play a little music. Y'all know we back to regularly scheduled programming. I'm play a little music. And then we're going to get right into it here. Again, hit that like button on your way in. Like the video, share, subscribe, do all that old hot shit. And then we're going to get started. All right?
Yeah. You feel me? We rented out the whole top floor. You did? South Beach. Turn me up Thursday. I had to get all my hoes there. Everybody in the room. I was just too jiggy. Big rabbit. Yeah. They said we can do this shit like yeah. They said yeah. They done let the PLs in the dope. You just think with an MX, just my bitch step on the floor. They come people sell me shit, hit the West Coast, got that coke. But niggas see me now, I took the deuces and I float on the motherfucking rubber bands. Jump straight out the box, they do a cut their hand. Bitches strictly business, fuck your homie, I'm your pussy man. They say talk your reckless on this shit, might get me booked again. Dropped another album, Cocaine Rabbit, got him shook again. Every nigga you with us, so you against us. They tried to play us cause the Jacksons barely came to visit. They had the big old locked in Westfield, yeah, I made the visit. You back outside, it's time for you to play a new position. Fuck them niggas, I still wish them well because I love them niggas. Bulletproof the fleet, I'm in these streets, but it's hard to touch a nigga. And some of my say I'm in color and it's different colors, nigga. Big rabbit, I had the Fontaine, my little brother, nigga. You feel me, you know what I'm saying? Had the little brother, you had the, you know what I'm saying? Pee-wee, homie, you're the Pee-wee, you know what I'm saying? Show you how small he is, you know what I'm saying? Compared to the big rabbit, you know what I'm saying? The big lord, different color hoes, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, who my a jam. They said I couldn't do it. But I did. They said I couldn't make it. They didn't know I was gonna sleep. They said to forgive me. We knew what it could be. With you by my side, the Jesus I'm going. Couldn't be done.
Listen. I'm going to play one more before we get started, y'all. Y'all come on in, hit that like button for me. Kelly Price went a little bit too far when she's talking about with Jesus, I'm a ride. And Kelly Price has a beautiful voice, but with Jesus, no, you're not. You're not going anywhere with Jesus. It's been proven. Stop it.
Yeah, it's like I pray for you. You know what I'm saying? I sent it a mile away, but you know I don't hate you. I love you. It's not my nature to hate you. Our Father, Black Godfather, that's my religion. You took an oath to this family, how you gon' go against it? These niggas snitching, I pray that my premonition misses. A lot of shit, it broke my heart, but it fixed my vision. Use your mama pot to make them grams lock. We was dirty kids in a Project Alley, fuck a sandbox. Passing out them samples early morning, giving handouts. Got a spot in Marshalltown, we trapped it till we ran out. Diamonds come for pressure, nigga. Sometimes I feel like we so dope just to impress a nigga. Man, there's so much deep within the game, this shit be stressing niggas. And I put my set before the game, like who gon' check a nigga? Now I'm talking reckless, niggas, bitches get burnt. We live in terms, some niggas' feelings get hurt. You was a snake right from the start, but I ain't feel it at first. I had your back with rap, you tried to get a deal and it worked. Running you packs on top of packs and now you still in the work. I'm glad I worked it out, the street shit almost fucked up my potential. When this rap shit bringing more enemies than friends, they out to get you. Talking tough on social sites, this shit get real in the streets. We had a spat, I talked to whack, ain't need the minister to settle no beef. I saw Tabaka La Farrakhan, you know my religion. I took an oath to this shit and I never went against it.
Okay.
I started popping and
Hold on.
started acting different. A lot of shit, it broke my heart, but it fixed my bitch. Carbon, that's my dog.
Hold on. Here we go, y'all. Here we go, y'all. Here we go. I fucks with Freddie's his newest album. I fucks with Freddie on that shit. Listen, we're going to be talking about Owens, Kanye West, the Double Down. Okay. I'll be playing a clip from the Candace Owens show that I was sent. I'm not going to play the entire, I think the whole thing is 28 minutes. I don't know. I'll let y'all decide whether y'all want me to keep going through it. Ain't but so much Cooney we can listen to, right? But first, let me let y'all know that I learned today what a zombie raccoon is. I had no idea. I had no idea there was a such thing. Let me play this for y'all first, so we can all get on the same page with this knowledge. Zombie raccoon. Some of y'all may be familiar with terminology. This explains. I mean, I feel like I just a light bulb, like several light bulbs went off. Like,
dog owners, imagine you're walking with your pup and you see this.
I'd probably freak out. I don't know, cry, call my husband. Who knows? I'm just hoping I don't see one.
Oh, that's too much. I'd walk away.
Probably try to stay as far away as possible from that.
oh, don't buffer on me. Don't do that.
Well, that is a zombie raccoon, and it may sound like something out of a sci-fi film, but sadly, it's not. It's a raccoon that has been infected with the distemper virus, which causes the infected animals to walk on their hind legs, stagger, and bare their teeth, similar to that of a zombie's behavior. They can't hurt you, but they can hurt your dog, and they've been reported in Cook County.
They've been in the Chicagoland area for a long time. They're really all over the Chicagoland area. People should really be aware of their surroundings.
Most dogs get vaccinated for the distemper virus as puppies and can also get it as adults. But regardless, if you see a zombie raccoon, here's what you should not do.
I'd probably try and smile at it with like a full, like, as much teeth as possible.
What?
And possibly kiss it.
Huh?
And then, depending on their reaction, I'd run away or hang out for a while and get to know it.
Here's what you should do.
Make sure that they keep their pets on a leash. And even if they let their pets out into backyards, they should supervise their pets to make sure that they don't come in contact with any wild animals, but right now, specifically these zombie raccoons.
Again, most dogs do get their distemper virus vaccination as puppies, but what you can do is call your...
It's a real thing. I don't want y'all to think that's not a real thing. Now, the cave in there talking about he gonna kiss it, that sounds like spoken like a true cave. Of course you gonna kiss it. Even though it has a disease, you gonna get close to it and kiss it in the mouth. These are the men that y'all keep telling me better than me. I ain't gonna let it happen. I will not let it happen. I will not let y'all keep uplifting these caves. On the news, they put him on there, said he'll kiss that bitch in the mouth. Now, what we going to do, first and foremost, shout out Team Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. Black first, second, and third. If you were here last night, I appreciate you. If you were here last night, then you saw us talking about Candace Owens and Kanye West. We weren't speaking to the degree where we was just blown away by what they had done, blown away by them wearing the White Lives Matter t-shirts. We were just discussing the fact that these coons need to go somewhere and sit the fuck down. We need to draw a line in the sand that differentiates us from these motherfucking types of coons. Okay, anti-blackness is rampant, not only in the cave community, but also in the black community, sadly enough. Now, Candace Owens decides to go and do a little a conversation that she had about why she wore the White Lives Matter gear. I didn't watch the video. It was sent to me, and I said, well, this will be something we can break down tonight as we listen to Candace Owens. I've listened to some of her excerpts before. She is, well-spoken coon, likes to throw out a bunch of numbers that are anti-black to justify her being anti-black. That's what she does. Beware of people who run down a whole bunch of numbers to you to justify them being anti-black. That's who Candace Owens has been now for years. She's going to run down some stats and tell you that you are the problem, and that this is the reason she aligns herself and gets round of applause from the Caves, because the Caves put this information out. They put the so-called data out, and when you have a black person reading that data to charge his or her community with this so-called data, then they love that shit. Okay. And I didn't even watch the video, but I read some of the comments, and I didn't want to watch it without y'all. I said, I'm gonna wait for y'all to watch it, but I did read some of the comments. Oh my God. Just the response that I saw in the comments from the Caves lets me know that she said everything that they wanted her to say. They just love it. And sadly, there were black people in the comments as well talking about what a breath of fresh air she is. She's a free thinker. Y'all know they do the same thing with K00nye, right? They do the same thing with him, where he'll say something anti-black and people will talk about how free his thought is. like that's a free thought. A black person being anti-black is a part of the program. That's not free thoughts. Most black people they're not like that. I told y'all we're dealing with a 99% coon rate. We have the Caves up on a pedestal. So that's what's expected. That's what's to be understood already about black folk. That's not free thoughts to have a black person be anti-black. That's pretty typical. Now, again, you're dealing with these high-level coons that would do white lives matter. I think there is enough black people with system not to do something like that. But let's not get this confused where being anti-black as a black person is free thought. People being so-called tough on black people, using this data and these statistics, that's not free thoughts. That's what niggas been doing to get their little shows on Fox News and to get cave support. This is a been going on. That's not new. That's not free thought. But I'm not going to play the actual video. What we're going to do here is just play her voice. Okay? We're going to play her voice and play what she had to say about the situation. There's some type of little advertisement that she has here that I don't really want to hear. We may have to hear the end of it just to get a clean intro into. We may have to hear her little advertisement as she gives her, and we gonna be fair to the coon. We're gonna hear her what she has to say out. Y'all know I'll be pausing it to make some points as we go through here. But this is the double down. Oh, and I shared on my my new Instagram page, since the Instagram is going to delete the other one. I just know it. I shared what Kanye had to say, and he basically said something along the lines, and I'm not going to quote him verbatim because I don't have it in front of me, but Black Lives Matter was a shield, a scam. It's over now. You welcome, or something to that effect. Like he took down Black Lives Matter or some shit like that. But I'm going to play this again. It's going to come in sounding weird because she's in the middle of her doing some type of commercial for some group. Let's get it.
Reviews and thousands of satisfied customers. Text Candace to 989898 and Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on diversifying into gold tax-free. Take necessary steps to hedge against inflation today and protect your hard-earned money. Get your free info kit by texting Candace to 9898
Hold on.
now. All right, guys.
Hold on. I shouldn't even be this motherfucking. This would be considered petty. But what are you talking about? Hedge against inflation? Talk about the motherfuckers who cause inflation to be a thing. It's imaginary. Talking about hedge against it. What the fuck? Call the people out who doing it. You won't do that with you. Okay, I'll let her get started, y'all. I'm gonna leave her alone on that. But inflation is not real. We talk about that over here.
It's true. The internet is broken. You cannot use the internet today. It's not working anywhere in the world because I wore a t-shirt alongside Kanye West, which read White Lives Matter. And God forbid you wear a t-shirt that says White Lives Matter. We wore this for his Yeezy Season 9 fashion show here in Paris. And people are upset. They're very upset about that. They're going, why on earth? How could you? How dare you wear this shirt? How dare you make a mockery of the BLM movement. In addition to this, in case you missed it on Kanye West's Instagram page, he wrote this: "Everyone knows that Black Lives Matter was a scam. Now it's over. You're welcome." That is the only.
Okay, she pulled it up for her. Kanye, this is what Kanye had to say on a post on Twitter. And of course, she's right now just looking at this, and I know y'all can't see it, but just looking at this, she's kind of taking pride in what she's done here as something. She's making it about Black Lives Matter. And last night we talked about this. I said this, and I didn't know whether or not they was going to do this, but we talked about the fact that they was going to try to make that some, anti-Black Lives Matter. No, it's just coon shit. You can just say, I don't support Black Lives Matter. I don't support Black Lives Matter. That doesn't mean I'm going to wear a White Lives Matter t-shirt. It just doesn't justify that.
Response, or the only thing that he has said publicly about wearing the t-shirt. And you obviously know, if you're watching this, where I stand on the Black Lives Matter movement. In fact, I'm doing an entire documentary to expose the fraudulent nature of that movement and the organization that stood behind it and benefited billions and billions of dollars because they elicited Black grief. They sold Black people a concept of their oppression. They used poorer Black Americans as a marketing firm for their organization. And where did that money go? Well, certainly not to Black America. So she's basically hashed out her issue with Black Lives Matter. She's saying that they, use the grief of Black people to make money and did not use that money for the Black community. Again, I told y'all, keep in the back of your mind, a broken coon is right 2 times a day. Understand that. I knew that. She's anti-Black Lives Matter, and she's going to use this as a justification. I knew she's the type of motherfucking coon that would do this. Okay. I knew it. In the comments, when I saw white people like, yes, you're such a breath of fresh air, we love you, I knew she was going to turn it into some shit like this. Both things can be true at once. Fuck Black Lives Matter. Fuck the slogan White Lives Matter. Okay. Fuck the organization that says that is Black Lives Matter. The statement that is White Lives Matter. The actual institution that this entire country is built off on. The actual institution that the justice system is built off of. It has White Lives Matter. It's there in parentheses with a little asterisk by it. It's an understood thing at this point. We understand that already. But she's trying to turn it into some counter for Black Lives Matter, like a coon would. Wonderful thing this morning, this wonderful experience, and I'll tell you why it was wonderful. I had breakfast with Ye at his hotel, and it was wonderful because it was one of those moments where I realized how far I've come from where I was. The first time that I ever came to Paris, ironically, I was having breakfast with a woman whose family I worked for, and she was so awful to me. And I'll never forget this moment because it almost ruined Paris for me. It was a wealthy woman who told me, as we sat in her hotel.
A wealthy what woman? Are you talking about a cave? Because you have no issue calling Black folk out. Like, let me. When you listen to these people, I want you to be very clear of who they won't call out by name. Like, who? What? A wealthy woman? That's all she was. I'm sure she was a cave because she would have said Black if she wasn't. I'm sure she's talking about a cave.
Which was the George Cinq Hotel. She said, Candace, a girl like you shouldn't even be here. Look how expensive the omelet is that you're eating. Do you see how expensive it is? An omelet is $35. A girl like you can't afford this hotel, or you can't afford to stay here. And I remember I was so upset that when I left that breakfast, I was crying because I was so angry that anybody had spoken to me like that. And fast forward, I guess, more than 10 years now, and I am sitting at a hotel with having an omelet, by the way, with Ye West, and we are discussing the internet, which we just broke over this t-shirt. And I just started jotting down some things that he was saying.
Like, come on, yo. This is what I'm talking about with these type of coons. A wealthy woman, surely it was a cave, basically saying your Black ass don't even deserve to be around here. And instead of you calling out that racist behavior, you turn it into, well, 10 years later, I'm here eating an omelet. Life is good. What? What did you say? And people gonna let that shit ride. I can't. I'm listening to it with y'all. Like, I can't just let that shit ride. Like, that was a racist cave that treated you less than human, like you didn't deserve dignity or respect. But you don't have anything to say about that racist cave at all, other than, hey, 10 years later, I'm back with Kanye eating a fucking omelet. Like, get the fuck out of here. People like this, something wrong with these motherfuckers.
Because he was actually giving an interview to another magazine, and he said, "I perform for an audience of one, and that's God." I love that statement, so I wrote it down.
I bet you love that statement, because the audience of one that is God is a cave. Y'all worship a cave God. And of course, cave God is pleased with you niggas being coons. Of course he is. Of course, that makes sense. It all makes sense. Of course you like that statement. I perform for an audience of one, that's God. Y'all's cave God love to see y'all cooning like y'all do. Of course, that stood out to you when you wrote that down. Let me jot this down. Put it in the coon archives. Like, get the fuck out of here. Matter of fact, let me fix this. I'm gonna put the picture up of these motherfuckers real quick. Let me just put this up. Let me just put this up for these motherfuckers real quick. Cause this is what we're here doing. Hold on. Where did my overlay at? Let me get this up here. Let me get that up there. Cause we got this is what we doing here. Like, come on, yo. Of course that stood out to you. Cave God love to see you niggas cooning.
He also said, quote, "Utopia is possible for not who we are being led by." I'm going to say that again. Utopia is possible for not who we are being led by, which of course leads me to think about Black Lives Matter again and these people.
How does that lead you to think about utopia is possible for it not who we're being led by? What about the people we were being led by that were assassinated by this fucking government? What are you talking about? BLM is that's later on down the line. Of course, okay, cool. You don't fuck with BLM. That can't be your only example. You can't keep going back to that to justify your anti-blackness. What about the government, the cave government, that saw to the fact that black leaders were assassinated? Huh? That saw to that sanctioned that. These type of coons, I'm telling y'all, man, I don't know how people, I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know how y'all do it. Utopia is possible for not for the people who we being led, like BLM just done led the people so astray that no. What about the government that assassinated the leaders that were here, that were moving the needle for black people and trying to instill black pride? What about that? You gonna mention that? Kanye mentioned that in his little interview. Do you jot that down? No, of course not, because y'all fucking coons.
Who claimed to be leaders and knew that what they were doing was further dividing the masses. I mean, the whole idea here via the Black Lives Matter movement was to make sure that Black people saw oppression and saw white supremacy surrounding them and convincing them that if they leaned into this narrative, that somehow their lives would be better. It was a mirage. Actually, that's a word that Ye used during the breakfast too. It would
wait a minute, Kundis. BLM very specifically focused on police brutality. They very specifically focused on police brutality, which is one of the issues I had with them myself. They focused on police brutality and the injustice system that doesn't charge these cave officers for murdering black people. Let's be clear on what they were, not you creating your own fucking narrative here. They didn't even deal really with systemic oppression outside of that, i.e. Flint water crisis, i.e. the Jackson water crisis, i.e. redlining, gentrification, poor education systems in black areas, rundown infrastructure in black areas. They didn't do none of that. They just dealt with police getting away with murdering black people. Be clear. Don't lie. Don't lie. Let me go back a little bit. Don't fucking sit here and lie.
Said, "I perform for an audience of one."
I went back too far.
And that's God.
I'm gonna let it play through though.
I loved that statement, so I wrote it down. He
Of course.
also said, quote, "Utopia is possible for not who we are being led by." I'm going to say that again. Utopia is possible for not who we are being led by, which of course leads me to think about Black Lives Matter again and these people who claim to be leaders and knew that what they were doing was further dividing the masses. I mean, the whole idea here via the Black Lives Matter movement was to make sure that Black people saw oppression and saw white supremacy surrounding them, and convincing them that if they leaned into this narrative, that somehow their lives would be better. It was a mirage. Actually, that's a word that Ye used.
So you saying we should be ignoring the white supremacy that not only is surrounding us, we're not even dealing with the surroundings, but in the infrastructure. That's what anybody who listened to me understand. White supremacy surrounding me, like it's, coming to corner me or something like that. It's in the infrastructure that we deal with the idea of white supremacy and what it does to and how it affects Black lives. It's in the infrastructure, in the system. It got nothing to do with like a group of caves, yelling nigger out and flying Confederate flags. That's not even what we're dealing with here. That's what she's trying to spin the narrative as, though.
During the breakfast too, it was basically a mirage, right? This idea that somehow all we needed to do was burn down our own neighborhoods. All we needed to do was have our youth wearing a George Floyd t-shirts. All we needed to do was loot Targets and loot these expensive stores, and somehow justice would be delivered. And of course it wasn't.
Wait a minute, bitch. So you're going to shame these tactics. Now, we just saw caves when it comes to sports. We just talked about that over here. They'll turn buses over just for the New York Yankees losing or whatever the fuck. They'll do it for that. So you saying that didn't, they sold you the fact that if you go burn down some buildings, you'll get justice. What you said in your own fucking speech here is that justice still wasn't served. What does that mean, Kundis? What does that mean then? If justice still wasn't served, you just said it yourself. What does that mean? That means there's a system, right? There's a system that does not value Black life as it pertains to when it's murdered at the hands of the caves. Does that not mean that? Maybe you'll get into it. Let me give you a chance.
There is a deep irony and a sad irony when you consider that wearing a t-shirt has led such a tremor throughout the world, right? A t-shirt that says white lives matter, which should be implied, right? White lives matter, Black lives matter, Asian lives matter. It should be implied. Yet,
what? Don't act like you didn't. There's no tremor. People just calling you a coon. Like, let's not get this confused. Coon, just listen. I know you like to fashion yourself as this, Black person that the caves love, and you speaking this truth. All people did was call you a coon. That's it. A self-hating ass coon, and you should be used to that by now. That's all that happened. You didn't cause no tremor. People were just looking around like, okay, these motherfuckers is coons. That's it. That's all that happened here. Stop aggrandizing yourself and K00nye acting like y'all caused a tremor. No, y'all just got called coons.
People are angry and they are being vicious online because they can't believe that we have the audacity to detract from the movement, which is a lie, right? Black Lives Matter. If Black Lives Matter, then some of these things that we have been talking about on this show, things I've been talking about throughout my entire political career, would be getting attention. Not the t-shirt, right? Not the t-shirt, but these actual statistics that matter.
Okay, here we go. I didn't know it was coming, but I know I've seen enough clips of Kundis to know that here comes some statistics, okay, to justify her anti-Blackness, because she's trying to make it about, making it about a statement against Black Lives Matter. You can have the statement against Black Lives Matter. You cannot support Black Lives Matter. You can see Black Lives Matter for what it was, and they ran off on the plug. That does not mean then you come back and say white lives matter. Oh, that should be implied, right? No, bitch. It's in the system. It's in the fabric of this country that cave lives matter. And particularly to caves themselves. And actually, it just depends on what group of caves, because poor caves lives really don't matter much either. Don't nobody want to tell that truth, because then we have to start drifting into capitalism, and Kundis ain't trying to go there. Because then she'll start what they would call biting the hand that feeds her. Once she digs into capitalism, And once you run into these fucking trailer parks, which no one ever wants to do, then you have to start really getting down to what they call the nit and gritty. Then you have to deal with that. Then you have to deal with the oligarch. Then you have to deal with the plutocracy. Then you have to deal with real shit. But you're not going to deal with that because you just did a commercial talking about hedging inflation. So clearly you don't want to deal with the capitalist system at all. You don't want to deal with that part. But I'm gonna try to let some of this go without me pausing her ass. God damn.
And here are just a few of them.
Here come the stats.
117,626 Black children were killed by surgical abortion in the United States in 2018.
Oh my
right?
God.
Those are
Okay.
recent statistics. Just so we are clear,
Abortion stats
in America has contributed to the greatest decline in Black population since the first Black slaves arrived. You will hear.
So then what is then the justification for the caves? The caves minus birth rate. What's the justification for theirs? If you're gonna say that abortion is a single-handedly, lowering the number of Black people, which I understand the statistic for what it is, but melanated Black people, our numbers, if anything, what's affecting people having babies the most is capitalism. It costs too fucking much. Can't deal with that though. Can't deal with the fact that it costs a whole lot to raise a child here in this country. We can't deal with that. But then what it then has led to the caves minus birth rate? Kundis? If it's abortion for us, what's the numbers on them and what's their problem? What they got going on? I'll let her finish.
People often talk about lynching. This is like a new thing. They like neoliberalism. They could talk about lynching and they compare everything to lynchings. It's just like being lynched.
What?
Well, for your reference, you should know that 4,467 people in the United States were victims of lynchings from 1883 to 1941. 3,265 of those people were Black.
Whoa. Hold on, Kundis. Hold on now. You giving the stats up to 1941? That's it? That's where you drop off? Do you talk about who all went to prison for those lynchings? Anybody? That's the system that the BLM was kind of focused on. Like nobody's going to, you get to murder. Let me go back. I'm gonna try to. Let me go back a little ways and we're gonna hear these lynching stats. Hold on. She stops at 1941. Because after that, all lynchings were suicides, right? Right.
Everything to lynchings. It's just like being lynched. Well, for your reference, you should know that 4,467 people in the United States were victims of lynchings from 1883 to 1941.
And that's, you just don't stop.
3,265 of those people were Black. And you keep talking about lynching as this horrific thing that's happened in the past, right? And yet what?
No wonder. I see. Listen, because I'm listening to this with y'all, but I see why the caves loved her in the comment section. Oh, lynching! You got like lynching was this horrific thing. What? Acting like, making it seem like. What the fuck, yo? And this is a person they respect. This is who you need to be to get their respect. Come on. Like, come on. Who all went to prison for those lynchings? She didn't read off them stats. Nobody.
You say to people today that 20 million Black infants were aborted. They don't even blink an eye. They don't even bat an eyelash. No, less than batting an eyelash. They tell those same
Back to abortion
that they need to be outraged when a Planned Parenthood clinic shuts down. 20 million. When you talk about people that are killed in the millions, when you talk about.
She's using abortion to justify lynchings. Lynching is a small thing, so she'll use abortion to justify these lynchings. Well, y'all can't say that was that bad. That was only about 3,000 or so people up until 1941. 20 million Black babies have been aborted, and thus it's incomparable. It's not even a comparison. She's comparing a lynching to somebody going to have an abortion. This is something that these conservatives get to do sometimes. But then she fails to, again, she may get into it here, but she's not mentioning who were pushing the anti-abortion laws in order to boost their numbers. If it's black folk, if we just knocking ourselves off, the caves wouldn't be putting out no anti-abortion bills. They want black folk to kill themselves off. That's been the plan. So then speak to why they made these anti-abortion laws, passing these anti-abortion bills. It ain't for black folk. Ain't got nothing to do with black folk. It's because the caves are the minus birth rate and your ass ain't ran off that stat at all.
The Jewish Holocaust, when you talk about the Rwandan Holocaust, people are, oh my gosh, oh my, this is horrible. Of course, because it is horrible. But for whatever reason, since we have convinced ourselves to genocide our own offspring, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They don't banash. In fact, they tell you that it is your right. So think about that. 20 million black babies, and yet a t-shirt is what got attention last night. In 2012, more black babies were killed by abortion in New York City than were born. Imagine that, your abortion rate being higher than your live birth rate.
And y'all can't see her face, but she's laughing while she's saying this. She's laughing. She's laughing. Your abortion rate was higher than your birth rate in New York City. Why? What's causing the caves to be at a minus birth rate, Kundis? Because you've been focusing on abortion, 20 million, you're giving the numbers out for abortion. Okay, this justifies black people being lynched. This justifies that. What is the caves' justification? Why are they saying that they are at a minus birth rate? Why are they trying to push their hoes to have children? Why aren't you talking about that? You haven't mentioned it yet.
City, and they celebrate it. Do you remember notoriously the governor lit up the city pink when they talked about expanding abortion rights, expanding the black genocide, light up the skyscrapers pink. It is a win for who, though, is the question. A win for who? 70.
If they were celebrating it, why? What's the anti-abortion laws about, Kundis? Like, come on, be even in your which clearly she can't be, but what okay, they sell it now. Again, I understand what she's trying to say here. Not sitting here saying, you know, I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-choice. If a woman decides she don't want to have a kid, she don't want to have a kid. Abortion is a right. Abortion is a right. It is what it is, right? Why are they pushing the anti-abortion? If it's a win-win, you just said it was a win-win because they get to push the genocide on black people, then why are they pushing it? Because you know it's not to keep us, it's not to have our women, forcing black babies out. That's not what it's about. You know that based on what you just said. They lit up the city. They celebrating this black genocide. Then why the anti-abortion laws then, Kundis?
9% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are located within walking distance of neighborhoods that have a higher proportion of Latina and Black women. But that's not the only thing that's killing Black America, literally. We also know obesity is killing Black America.
Okay.
I wish, you know what we should have done? We should have put a White Lives Matter t-shirt on Lizzo. Maybe we could have gotten a lot of attention about obesity and how it's actually killing Black Americans.
God.
Obesity is the number one.
Why? Hold on. Yo. Why she slide Lizzo in there like that? Like, why she slide Lizzo in there like that? She said if she obesity is killing, and we know this, heart disease, obesity, number one killer of people in this country. And we talk about that sometimes. So again, I told y'all, Broken Coon is right. She's not necessarily wrong here, but why she had to slide Lizzo? She slid Lizzo's ass right on in there. She slid Lizzo's ass in there.
You know what we should have done? We should have put a White Lives Matter t-shirt on Lizzo. Maybe we could have gotten a lot of attention about obesity
wow.
and how it's actually killing Black Americans.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Obesity is the number one killer in America. Okay. I know Black Lives Matter told you it was police shootings, right? And made you think that.
No, the fuck they didn't. Don't Don't be disingenuous. Okay? They simply stated, and I don't support Black Lives Matter, but against this type of bullshit, I don't have a choice but to at least be honest. Black people are being murdered by the cops aren't going to prison. That's it, that's all. That's what Black Lives Matter was out here pushing. They didn't say it was the number one cause of black life being murdered or taken away here. They never said any of that. So don't be disingenuous with what you're saying.
Thousands of black men were dying at the hands of police. No, absolutely not. I think in the year 2020, was it 9 unarmed black men were killed by police? 9 of them. But obesity is killing people at a very high rate. And
I don't like what she does when she say, well, it was just 9. Like, that don't matter. Like, she'll get to chalk that now. It was just 9 niggas. Like, don't worry about that. It was just 9. It's not the point, bitch. It's the people who killed him, who murdered him, aren't going to prison. But if I murder one of them, I'm going. That's the point. You silly ass coon. That's the point. If I do it, I'm going to prison. A cop can do it, just 9. Let me catch 9 bodies in 2020. Just 9. All I caught was 9. I ain't heavy. I mean, there's so many other people out here. That's a small number. Let me go out here and gun down 9 people and see where the fuck I end up. See where I be. Come on now.
Black women have the highest rates of obesity. It's the number one killer. And of course, we sit at the top of it. Black women, 56.9% of us are classified as obese. We shouldn't talk about that. You know why? Because it.
First of all, bitch, classified versus compared to who? I'm not going to sit out here and act like obesity is not a problem. I'm not going to do that because y'all know I get it in sometime about this shit, right? It's not the time right now. But compared to what? Compared to who? And if you act like it's a black woman thing, you have to look out here at these cave hoes too, don't you? You said heart disease or obesity was the number one killer of people in America. You said people. That means all people. Okay? Now, there is an issue with black women being glorified for being big like this. I get that. But you said people. And I know for a fact, because of the stats I've read, I know it's people, right? America isn't the fattest country in the world because of black women. That ain't what it is. America is not the fattest country in the world because of black women. It's a whole lot of cave hoes that's big as fuck. Stop playing.
Didn't have a t-shirt on it that said white lives matter. You talk about criminality. No one wants to talk about it if you're not talking about a police officer, right? People don't want to talk about the fact that black people are slaughtering other black people. People don't want to talk about black on black crime. It doesn't matter because we're doing it to ourselves, right? Just like we're aborting our own babies. Applaud it. Applaud it. In fact, put it in the music. Put the criminality in the music and celebrate it. Give it a Grammy. Give black criminality a Grammy so that we understand that this.
Y'all see this? Y'all see what she doing, right? Black on black crime. And people like this argument. And I this is one of the things where I'm against black people murdering other black people for no reason. But she says, put it in the music. And you get an award for it. If you're saying that the caves don't have any violent music, but yet the caves still murder at a high fucking rate, then what are you blaming their criminality on? What are you blaming it on? What are you blaming this Dahmer on fucking Netflix on? What do you blame that on? Music? Is it the music then? Because it's only the music when you're talking about black folk. Y'all notice that? Maybe it's just me that noticed that. It's only the music when you're talking about other black folk. Then it's the music. For everybody else that murders people, it's must have had a rough childhood. No talkers about music, nothing. And you know, the would be lone gunmen and running the shoe high schools. They're not blasting no rap music when they went in there. That's not what's going on. But they don't pathologize anybody else's music but black folks. And to me, I say make it fair game. If you're going to pathologize black music, which you can, it's a whole lot of bullshit going on in black music. Pathologize all the music and then trace back the murderous rampages that these motherfuckers go on. Trace it back to some music then. What they listening to? Country? Grunge? Heavy metal? Pop? Rock? I mean, what? They don't have to carry bodies. And this is even though, based on what she's saying, and we know this to be true, the cave music don't have all this catching bodies, spinning the block, you know, whatever the fuck gang shit going on in there. They don't have all that in there, but they're still murdering at a high fucking rate. What do you put that on then? Anybody gonna pathologize them? No? That's not the work that's gonna be done though.
Just like we're aborting our own babies. Applaud it. Applaud it. In fact, put it in the music. Put the criminality in the music and celebrate it. Give it a Grammy. Give black criminality a Grammy so that we understand that this is ours. Sit in the cool club, right? Now we know what it means to be black. Now we know what it means to not be a traitor to your own race. Murder your own race. And if you don't do it in your womb, grab a gun. Kill the guy next to you. Applause all around the world.
Bitch, why are you lying? This is what these motherfuckers are do. People who are being murdered in the streets by other black people, nobody's applauding that. That's not being applauded. That act is not being applauded. You might as well say, you know, movies with murder in it, like all the motherfucking murder. Hell, take a Tarantino flick, other than Django. I know y'all love Django. Take a Tarantino flick. Why are you acting like these things aren't in the music? Not just the music, but on the screen. You can see George Floyd be murdered right there on social media. You cannot then come back and say, well, everybody's applauding this. No, the fuck we not. We call them motherfuckers degenerate ass coons, just like you and K00nye. We call them coons. That's what we do over here. No one's applauding that.
Per the CDC, African Americans
Here we
are
go.
4 times more likely to be killed by a gun than the overall population. And once again, it's not a white person that is pulling the trigger.
No.
It's another black person. We account for almost 40% of all of the homicide offenders in the United States. 40% coming from the smallest piece of the population. We're talking about, 7% of the population is black men, and they're...
Now, I'm not going to go in on this bitch about gun violence because I'm not going to sit here and try to justify it, make it cool, or no shit like that. Not going to do that because I think that shit is ridiculous. How we see the enemy in ourselves. Gang violence and shit like that. I'm not going to sit here and justify that at all because again, I told y'all a broken coon, right? Right 2 times a day. I'm not even going to hold her on that.
Counting for 40% of all of the homicides in the United States, but let's not talk about that. In fact, let's call that racist to even acknowledge that truth. To talk about the ills in our own community, that's racism. Let's just move on for it.
No, it's coonism when you talk about the ills in our community, act like there's something inherently wrong with us, and you don't mention anybody else. It's coonism. That's what it is. It's coonism. Maybe I should coin that. No one's calling it racism, but as you're running off all these stats on black people, you skipped over all to see what the CDC had to say about the caves. You skipped over all of that. You ignore all of that. That's coonism. I can acknowledge that black men out here killing each other like fucking, again, like coons. Going crazy. I can acknowledge that. But what I won't do is sit here and act like, well, this behavior is innately black men acting like this. This behavior is something only black men do. I'm not going to do that. That's coonism. It's coonism. That's what it is. Nobody talking about no white on white crime. Y'all let 30 white bitches get strangled and raped and don't nobody bat an eye. Because when you're using these statistics, they will say, well, 7% of the population is responsible for 40%. They can eat their number of people that get murdered, and it doesn't like such a high percentage because there's so many more of this. And so the numbers, just if you leverage the numbers, because there's more of them, they can eat that. Very simple mathematical equation. If I got $6 billion, me giving $100,000 away, I can eat that. If I got $200,000, me giving away $100,000, that's half my bread. I'm looking a little bit, motherfuckers looking at me a little bit more, crazy. Like, motherfucker, you just blew $100,000 for what? On some strippers, nigga? Like, what the fuck wrong with you? You blew half your money. But if I got $6 billion and I blow $100,000, nobody bats an eye. That's the game people play with statistics. That's always the game people play when they're riding off statistics. When they're running off these numbers, that's the game they play. Yes, it is way more detrimental if black men out here murdering each other like this, but the caves won't be mentioned because they can eat their bodies up. They can just swallow their bodies because they're about 4 to 5 times a bigger population size, about 500% more of them than us. So they can eat those numbers so nobody says anything. She's talking about ain't nobody want to mention black on black crime. Motherfuckers always mention black on black crime. Always. It's not something that don't nobody want to mention. That's what everybody talks about. So stop lying.
People love to talk about the incarceration rates, right? Because the incarceration rates allow you to understand the result without ever having to talk about the problem, right? You don't have to talk about the equation. I'll just give you the answer. Black men are incarcerated, right? It says here that there are nearly 5 times the rate of black men in prison than white people. Oh, perfect narrative. It must be racism. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that we're the most murderous group in America. Has nothing to do with that.
What? Hold. Man, I can't. Did you just get onto a platform and say we're the most murderous group in America? Do you know what you just did? Every time somebody say they scared for their life, you just justified it. You stupid coon bitch. This is what coonism is. You just justified it. We're the most murderous group in America. And people respect. I see why the caves respect her. I get it. A lot of black people respect her as well. She just said that she said we are the most murderous group in America. Now, all black people, the most murderous group in America. Now, when somebody, as they say, they're scared for their lives, a narrative coming from a black person, because the cave's been saying it. We're the most violent. We're the most criminal. We're the most murderous. We're the most rapists. They've been saying that. Now you got a black person gonna come on here and run off some numbers and say we're the most murderous group in America. Come on. So what she's doing now is feeding the narrative. When a cave sees you and say, I'm scared for my life. Well, shit, y'all the most murderous group in America. Who knows? Come on, yo. This shit just sad, yo. This is sad.
Of course, 1 + 1 = 2, but let's focus on the 2 and not the 1 + 1. Let's focus on everything except for the fact that we also know that these individuals that are ending up in prison, or these individuals that are ending up killed, or these infants that are being taken out of their mother's own womb, they're all coming from broken families. Families that have been strategically broken down in a culture that further promotes the breakdown of family.
You said families that have been strategically broken down. Who did that work? Because again, this is why I really don't like listening to this bitch, and bitches like her, because there are plenty. You'll hear little bits of Owens and a lot of these motherfuckers out here that be talking this type of shit when they call themselves being tough on black folk. You said families that were systematically broken down. Who did that work? Who did that work? You don't want to talk about who did the work?
Group in America has nothing to do with that. Of course, 1 + 1 = 2, but let's focus on the 2 and not the 1 + 1. Let's focus on everything except for the fact that we also know that these individuals that are ending up in prison, or these individuals that are ending up killed, or these infants that are being taken out of their mother's own womb, they're all coming from broken families. Families that have been strategically broken down in a culture that further promotes the breakdown of family, that corrodes the value of women, that corrodes the value of men. But hey, that wasn't wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt. So who cares? Who cares? Who cares if 20 million Black babies are dead? Who cares if half of our Black men are locked up? Who cares if Black women, half of them are clinically obese and spelling out their own death sentences? Who cares if we represent 40% of all homicide offenders? It doesn't matter because we didn't put it in a Black Lives Matter tee. You know what else doesn't matter? It doesn't matter at all. The education statistics. Don't even pay attention to the fact that 74% of Black boys in California can't pass a basic reading exam.
I try to let it play longer there. Now she's on the education system. Who makes sure, who does the work of making sure that the education system in Black areas is poor? Who does that work? Who's responsible for that? Who does the work? So are you about to try to act like, we're going to play it through, but are you about to try to act like that Black children are inherently dumber than cave kids? Or is that what you're about to do? Let's see.
You know why? Because we love ignorance. We should celebrate ignorance, right? Who cares that across 5 schools in an inner city like Baltimore, they couldn't find a single child that was proficient in reading and in writing? Who cares? Who cares that 3 out of 4 Black boys in California schools cannot meet writing standards? Who cares? It's not in a White Lives Matter t-shirt, so we won't talk about the fact that nearly 80% of Black boys in the 4th grade failed to meet state reading standards. None of that stuff, for whatever reason, resonates. No one's ever outraged. It never trends on Twitter. Last night, White Lives Matter was trending on Twitter because Kanye.
Really, bitch? I'm at the point now where I got my really bitch face on. Y'all can't see it, I know that, but really, bitch? You talk about the educational system, but you don't deal with why the educational system is like that in Black areas. In Baltimore, as you mentioned. You said somewhere in California, but I bet you there are probably Black areas that you're talking about. You don't want to deal with the fact of how this is being set up, who's setting it up, who benefits from it. You don't want to deal with that at all. Black people just dumb, just born dumb, and particularly black boys. Black boys just born dumb. Our kids just born dumb. That's what it is. It's a choice, like Kanye said slavery was. So illiteracy is a choice. Seriously? And this is who the caves respect. This is why I don't respect people who can listen to this type of rhetoric and let it be bars. Because there's so much half-truth being rolled out. There's so much bullshit being said here. She don't want to talk about why the educational system is like that in Black areas. Who's doing that? Come on, yo. This bitch.
West had the nerve and the gall to put that t-shirt on. White Lives Matter. Now the press, how dare you? How dare you? What a form of engaging in white supremacy. None of this that I just read to you is white supremacy, but the t-shirt is a form of white supremacy. You know what the problem is? The problem is not what's happening inside the households or what's happening on the streets or the slaughtering that's taken place. The problem is not the women that have been trained to kill their own offspring, not to raise their sons, the men that are on the streets killing one another and putting out music that encourages their offspring to do the same. The real problem in Black America is that Kanye and Candace put on a White Lives Matter t-shirt. So let's focus on that instead. And that's all I have to say about that. Okay, guys,
That's all she has to say about that. She justified, and she goes, I just can't take no more. If you want to see the whole clip, it's on her fucking show or whatever. I can't. I just can't do it. I can't do no more of it. I can't do any more of it. The way that the caves are loving what she had to say in the comment section, it's just wow. Wow. I'm scrolling through the comments now. Wow. Wow. Even black people in here just loving Candace Owens, everything she has to say. White people like, yeah, you know, I get tired of feeling like I'm racist. You know, I ain't do nothing. I ain't did nothing. Like, wow. It's a black woman in here says she from Kenya. Those international coons. Wow. She getting all types of love for this. They're telling her to run for fucking president. As president, how would she address the issues of the school to prison pipeline? How would she address that? It can't just be getting on TV yelling at black folk. You'd have to actually put some money in these communities, build these communities up, build the infrastructure up in these communities. That's what you have to do if you calling yourself being a president, giving a fuck about black folk. You'd have to do that. You can't just come here and jaw jack yourself to death. You'd have to actually go do something. You can wag your finger at black folk if you want to, but we're talking about an educational system. What's the reading literacy for poor white communities? You didn't run those numbers off. What little Sue Ann and Billy Joe reading like up in the trailer park. You didn't run down those numbers. No one ever runs down those motherfucking numbers. And that's the shit that makes me mad. Nobody ever runs down those numbers. If you are poor as fuck and live in a poor area and the school system is poor, that sets you up. That sets you up for a life of criminality and illiteracy, generally speaking. Now, unless you're a cave, then you become a fucking anomaly where you can have two parents, middle class, and still kill 20 cave brunette bitches because you hated your mama. They are an anomaly. No matter how good their life is, they still out here murdering shit. Nobody wants to deal with that anomaly. Nobody wants to deal with that pathology in any type of way whatsoever. Not even Kundis, who can run off all these stats. She still don't want to deal with that fact. Middle class, family together, mom and daddy stayed married, still killed 20 white bitches. Why? Why? Why is that? I just wanted to play this because I respect the fact that she's doubling down. I respect coons that double down. Don't backtrack. Don't apologize because I know you're not sorry anyway. You're just a fucking coon. Coonism. This is what they engaged in at this point. She did not backtrack. She doubled down. She doubled down. You got white bitches in here thanking her for coming through with a good word. It's disgusting. This one white bitch talking about she cried. She a Catholic woman and she's been shamed for being white. A Catholic white woman being shamed for being white. Because white people, the cave bitches in particular, this is why I tell black women, y'all better leave these feminist hoes alone. Y'all better leave these bitches alone. Because at this point, I told y'all yesterday, feminism ain't shit but coonism at this point. That's all it is. You have white bitches that will sit here and act like they being oppressed for being white. Their biggest form of oppression is being called a Karen. They don't want, they can't deal. That's too much. That makes me just like you, black woman. I'm dealing with the same oppression that you have been for centuries. I'm dealing with the same shit that calling me a Karen. See? These cave bitches do not relate to you. They are not your motherfucking friend. I keep telling black folk that you ain't got no damn friends. Black woman, a cave bitch ain't your friend. This cave bitch is sitting in these comments talking about how she is being ashamed for being white. You'll see cavemen saying the same shit. I'm being oppressed because I'm white. Because they don't have anything original they can do and say. So they'll take anything black people saying and they'll turn around and say it. This is actually where White Lives Matter even came from. They take anything black folks saying and just flip it over. Flip that thing down or flip it and reverse it. Shout out to Missy Elliott. That's all they do. So you talk about being oppressed. Well, I'm oppressed as a white bitch. I'm oppressed as a white man. Everybody thinks my family owned slaves. I didn't do anything. You oppressed. I'm oppressed. Look at how they talk about white men in the media. They calling us Karens now. Oh, Lord. Like, what? And black women, y'all relate to these hoes? They struggle as your struggle? No. Not at all. Patterning yourself after these people is causing a problem in the psyche of black people. And it has been causing a problem now for a while. I told y'all, and I'm going to keep telling y'all damn near every time I come on here, you must take them caves down off that pedestal you have them on. They're not that. If you listen to Candace Owens, you may start believing you're that. White people listen to her for them to get a boost in their confidence. If they even feeling guilty, they can come listen to somebody like Candace Owens, and they can get some energy. Yeah, what the hell? These black folk talking about racism? Racism don't exist, which is basically all she's saying here. Racism ain't real. Like these niggas out here just playing about racism. She validates them as they continue to say racism isn't real. That's what they were saying anyway. Well, now you got a black person come in here and say racism isn't real. It doesn't exist, systemic or otherwise. She can tell you a story about a French bitch in France telling her she don't deserve to be in a certain place, but she don't tell you it was a cave racist bitch, though. She don't tell you that because she protects the caves. She protects them. And if you listen to her rhetoric, which I don't listen to her every day, I won't. But I guarantee if I was to sit here and listen to her rhetoric, she always protects the caves. Anybody that's black that talks anything similar to this, they're going to protect the caves. They're going to protect the caves every time. Every single time. They're going to protect the caves, uplift the caves, exonerate the caves, tell the caves that they're not racist. Black people are their own worst enemies. And listen, I will not sit here and act like I disagree with the fact that black people are our own worst enemies, but it's for different reasons. My justification is different. My justification is a lot different. We're our own biggest enemies because we have the caves up on a pedestal and we see enemies in each other. That's what makes us our own biggest enemies, because we look at each other as enemies. You see black men and women doing it every day, all day. It's not that racism is not a thing. Racism is gone. Racism is a thing of the past and it's not doing anything. That ain't what it is. It's the programming that has led you to believe that the caveman and woman deserves to be, I see them sitting on a black person, a black woman. Say a black woman is down on her hands and knees in a cave just sitting on her back. And I see a black man being his motherfucking footrest at the bottom. That's our problem. That's what I see. And there's another black person. No. We got a black child down there as the footrest. The black man is kind of behind the cave so they can lean back, turn black folk into a whole recliner. The black woman is the sitting part. The black man is the part they can lean back on, and the black child is the goddamn footrest. That's our problem. We're okay with that. That doesn't bother us. Anybody talking about that is problematic to us. They're a hotep. We letting these people recline on our lives, really. Our psychology, they got their feet up, chilling. You got people like Kunis and K00nye to come out here and make them feel like they're okay. It's the leadership, K00nye says. Utopia is well, I'm gonna paraphrase, but you can get to utopia. It's just the leadership is wrong. Doing that old shit where you know how niggas be sometime. Only God can judge me. God didn't never say thou shalt not coon. That's why you say only God can judge you, because your Bible don't hold you responsible for being a fucking self-hater. It actually shows you how to be a self-hater and a forgiver. So of course you're going to use that religion. Only God can judge me. That's because he never charged you with cooning. He charged you with idol worship, but which y'all don't pay attention to that part, but he charged you for eating certain things, you go to hell, but he don't charge you for being a fucking anti-black self-hater. There's no charge for that. You can coon all day. God is pleased. You ain't got to repent for that. You're not charged for that. That's not a part of the code in the Bible. You being an anti-black self-hater is not a sin. It's not a sin. It's not an abomination. That's what he said about homosexuals. It's not an abomination. So this is why K00nye can sit there and talk about he only performing for God. And this is why you're here. A lot of these coon ass niggas, only God can judge me and all this stupid ass shit, because they know the cave God is sitting up there. They very pleased with what they doing. They cave God is making them a special place in heaven. With the white gates and the cave angels. There's a special place for the coon up there. Understand. Understand. There are black people in this comment section agreeing with Candace Owens. There are caves, of course, rejoicing in her, relieving them of feeling any type of guilt, any type of responsibility to end the racism that they started, because all these coons do. All you're saying to the caves is, y'all ain't got to end what you started. That's all you saying to them. You exonerating them. That y'all ain't got to end it. You ain't got to fix it. You ain't got to do anything. We just got to move past it. The caves love being exonerated by coons. Man, listen, hold on. Let me take me a sip of water real quick. Boy, listen. Again, I respect her for not backpedaling. I knew she wouldn't anyway. She's not that type. She's been on a campaign and reading off these statistics. I want y'all to be very careful listening to black people read off statistics to disparage their own people. I want you to be careful of those people. I'm not saying you can't acknowledge those statistics for what they are, but be very, very mindful of what they're doing with those statistics. If you took any statistics class, because I took statistics in college, you'll learn how they inflate numbers. You'll learn what a sample group is. You will learn how a lot of these numbers and statistics are perception. A lot of it is that. If I come tell you that, if I only talk to 10 people and I say, well, 90% of people, well, I only talk to 10 people. Beware, be mindful, because all these numbers that they be running off all the time, I done told y'all this before, ain't nobody ever came and asked me shit. So who the fuck are they counting? Where are the studies being done? So sometimes I want to know. I ain't never been asked not one question about no damn statistics or a study or anything about no black folk. Not once. And I'm in a place where the largest concentration of black people is. I still ain't been asked a goddamn question yet. Other than, are you registered to vote? They'll come ask you that stupid ass shit. But that's about it. Ain't nobody come and do no study and asking me shit in almost 40 years. Be careful of people who use statistics to denigrate our people, whether it be black men or black women, because you know they like to throw their welfare queen at black women. Be careful of people who use statistics to denigrate and disrespect our people. Be careful of those people. Be wary of these people. Make sure you understand statistics before you go in there. Make sure you go see who's doing the studies. And if you look at it, and it's not even hard. The statistics have been anti-black for forever. That's not a new thing. That's not a new thing. The stats been anti-black, but they will never tell you who caused these conditions. Especially when you're talking about literacy. Get the fuck out of here. Be mindful of these people. Right. Marcus, that's a good point. He says like Family Feud. We asked 100 people what they thought or what's the correct move to make on a first date. And it's like 100 people, bitch. That ain't enough. That's not enough. But that 100 people is what's called a sample group. A lot of people don't understand this about statistics. It's very interesting to me to even listen to people run off statistics, because I always want to know, what's the sample group? What's the sample group? That's my question every time. What's the sample group? Nobody ever asks that. People just listen to people around. Oh, really? Like that? Okay, I see. Now, of course, they can keep up with things like the incarceration rate, because of course you're going to have these census. They're going to tell you, they know whether you're black or so-called Hispanic or cave. You're going to fill out the little the form that lets you know or lets them know what race you are. Of course, they got your pictures and all that shit. Fine. But a lot of times people reading off statistics, and it's like, how did you count and measure this? What's the sample group size? What is it? Who did you check with? Did you go everywhere? But a lot of times when the statistics are anti-black, black people will rock with that shit. We love that shit. Especially when we're doing this gender war and shit we be doing. Black women are leading the nation in evictions right now. Black men, these coon ass niggas will take that. See? I told y'all these black women ain't worth a fuck. They leading the nation in evictions right now. And it's like, what the fuck? How are you proud of that? It's not okay. 54% of black women are being evicted. Like, that's you throwing that out there, and that's a bragging right to you? You beating your chest on that? That's how you know you're dealing with a coon. Because a coon will read the statistics like that, and it makes them happy. They proud. It proves a point that they tried to make at some point. Not sad that black women being thrown out on the streets. No, happy. Celebration. Something's wrong with us like that. Be mindful of these people. Be mindful. Exactly. Some of y'all are hip to this to the percentage game. I'm gonna look at some of y'all's comments now. I haven't been looking at y'all's comments, because y'all know when I be going in, I can't really look at the comments. But now I'm looking at y'all's comments. If y'all understand what I'm saying, y'all know what I'm gonna ask y'all. If y'all feel where I'm coming from, if I'm making sense, put a B123 in the chat. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. Because I'm telling y'all, man, like, it bothers me, but it's mind-blowing to me that we continue to let these tactics work. We know the cave's gonna cave. We understand this. And we know that coon's gonna coon. We also understand this. What I don't like is seeing black people disrespect our ancestors. I don't like seeing black people lie. I don't like seeing black people tell half truths. And I tell y'all, Broken Coon is right 2 times a day. I told y'all that. I stand by that. I'm not going to sit here and say most of what she said was a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of one-sided bullshit. But we respect that. Black folk respect that. Now, a lot of black people don't fuck with Candace Owens, but you'll see other people all across YouTube throwing out a whole bunch of fucking numbers and statistics and data. And I was like, motherfucker, if the data is not leading to black people stop cooning, I don't want to hear it. That's how I feel. If the data not equaling that, if that ain't what you getting out of it, black people need to stop cooning as a whole, then I don't want to hear this shit. That's just where I'm at with stats. I don't give a fuck nothing about it. That's not me being ignorant. I understand statistics. I understand all this stuff. I don't want to hear shit about it if at the end of the day you're not saying black men and women stop cooning. We need to come together and stand 10 toes down and drag these caves off that motherfucking pedestal. I don't want to hear no numbers you got. Because these motherfuckers been running off numbers for decades. Running off numbers ain't doing shit. Ain't helping shit, ain't doing shit. 99% of black people have the caves up on a pedestal. I didn't even go check. I don't have a sample group. I say that shit and I stand by that shit because of what I observed. And how many people are so, just looking at me like, okay, what the fuck? How you just saying all this shit? How you just doing all that? It's because black people scared. Because you got the cave on a pedestal in your mind. I know it. I can tell by all of our pro-black revolutionary movements, all of our pro-black revolutionary leaders, they had small percentage groups. They was small numbers. That's how I know. 99% of black people is full-blown coons. And I'm more likely to see an enemy in you than they are in the caves. Talking about hating ass niggas all the time. How niggas be hating and be jealous. They don't never say that shit about the caves. The number one, the person that's the most jealous of you, the person that has been the most jealous of you historically, your biggest hater is the caves. Your biggest op for my young folk is the caves. Now I know it's fashionable now to be like, well, I had more black people hate on me than white people directly. Like you thinking about some surface level shit. You looking at the superficial level. Systemically, no way. Your biggest op is the caves. Black folk don't never say that. They always call other black folk they ops. This is how I know. This is how I know. Not just online, in real life. I talk to black people in real life. A lot of these motherfuckers, you can tell Kunis don't really talk to black folk like that. You can tell. She deals with black folk that agree with her mostly. And those type black folk, you got to be mindful of them too. They don't know, they're not dealing with black folk for real. They don't know nobody. They don't know black folk like that. They don't know shit. They don't know black folk like that. They build a character in their mind based on the statistics and based on what other people are saying in comment sections, stories that people are telling about other black people. They don't know no goddamn black folk for real. Be careful of these motherfuckers too. If you ain't talking to black people for real, in real time, experiencing black people for real in real time, I don't really be giving a fuck what you got to say about black folk. I don't be caring what you got to say. If you ain't grow up with us, experience life with us the whole time, like I don't really give a fuck about what you got to say. If you scared to be around black folk, you don't want to be in areas where there are a lot of black people, I don't want to hear what the fuck you got to say. You scared of your own people. I don't want to hear that shit. Now I understand you not want to walk down through the hoods and shit like that, but you got some black folk don't want to be nowhere near other black folk. None of them. Not a one. And you can come tell me about black folk. Get the fuck out of here. Y'all listen. I was going to, let me tell y'all what I was going to do. I wanted to come in here and show y'all the double down, first of all. And I wanted to break down Kundis Owens' talking points. But I'm gonna go grab me something to drink, grab me a bite to eat, and we're gonna come back in here and get on some relationship shit. I know we talked about yesterday. We talked about when we was talking about Kunye and Kundis, we was talking about doing a hip hop or music stream, which I thought it was dope. The participation, everybody. I think I'm gonna do that on my Patreon. So if you're not fucking me on Patreon, come fuck with me on Patreon. I think that's something cool that I could do for my people on Patreon. We talk about this music shit, whether it be hip hop, R&B, and shit like that. I'm gonna shut this shit down. We done dealt with the coon for today. I just wanted to show y'all. And I got some more. I got a video that I saw of a mock slave auction over in California. I got to deal with that too. I got no choice at a high school football team. But I'm gonna deal with that in another day. I ain't gonna deal with that today. I want to talk about some relationship shit because of some things that I saw, a couple things that people been sending me and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be coming right back on here. So if y'all ain't got shit to do, come fuck with me. I'll be looking for crowd participation and shit in that. And we gonna deal with some of this relationship shit that I've been seeing out here because y'all got me watching videos now. I don't know if y'all wanted me watching them. I don't know if y'all really wanted me watching this shit like this. I don't know if y'all really wanted me listening to these relationship gurus, and particularly these ones that call themselves, black relationship gurus or black, boy, y'all don't know if y'all want me to listen to them or not. But we're gonna talk about some shit. We're gonna talk about some shit, and I'm gonna be telling some hard truths that black folk probably don't really want to hear, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. So y'all just go grab you something to drink real quick. Maybe grab you a little bite or something. Don't do too much biting because Candace Owens said that the obesity is, so y'all, just water, no soda. Not nothing heavy. Okay. Don't go get no biggie size or large, nothing. Because she spoke some truth right there. Like, black folk, goddamn it now. But get you a little, get you a little water. We want water gang over here, right? And I'm gonna come right back on here, and we're gonna deal with some relationship shit. Just have a lighter conversation. I'm gonna still be going in, but it's gonna be a little bit lighter. Mad love to everybody that came through here. Again, follow me on social media. Subscribe to my Patreon because we're gonna be doing some work over there, some light work over there, and having some fun over there, as well as dealing with some heavy topics and documentaries and things like that as well. So subscribe to my Patreon. Follow me on Instagram because they didn't shut down my other page, and y'all know the story. So I put the link in the description box, so y'all follow me on there. But we're gonna be coming back up here. What time is it? It's 8:20 Eastern Standard Time right now. By I want to say 8:45. I want to say by 8:45 we're gonna be back in here talking about some of this shit I'm seeing as far as the relationship gang is concerned. So hopefully y'all come back and join for that. If not, I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Shout out to Team Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. Black first, second, and third.